Alright, so I have everything laid out here. I'm just about ready to start the analysis, but I actually found this out accidentally. I was playing with my Dreamcraft Nothing driver, and I actually found out that it is slightly free spinning in a way, but yeah, it's slightly free spinning in a way. So yeah, either way, let's get to the real analysis. Don't forget that the frames are part of the set, so I'll also be doing those too. So first off, I'm going to be doing Meteor. Meteor is a pentagonal frame with numerous protrusions to give it rough perimeter. While too small to come into contact with the opponent's layer, Meteor is one of the thickest and thus heavy in one of the it's not the heaviest, but thickest in one of the heaviest disc frames in the game, which grants high attack power, especially when paired with good core discs like 7. So that's it for Meteor. Setting that aside, but I'm just gonna say overall, Meteor's ability to further add weight to core discs, or like discs, which are already the heaviest in the game, such as like Zero, makes it a key part in many attack combinations. As such, while now this is outclassed by like bump and stuff. Well, actually, it's only outclassed by bump in terms of weight and stuff. But yeah, it's a must-have for competitive later. So putting that aside for real. Next up, moving up onto Flow. Flow is overall features like a triangular design with each side featuring 3 sloped blades meant to provide upper force and right spin combinations to increase stamina, and down force and left spin combinations to increase stability. However, these blades are too small to the blades are too small to actually do anything with the gimmick, so that basically renders the effect like useless and basically nothing. Compared to Cross-Star and Glaive, Flow's perimeter is like way too rough to aid in like life after death and even like stamina combos because of its ineffective gimmick and like life after death and stuff. And Meteor, Bump, and Flow, Meteor or Vortex, Meteor, and Bump and are good for attack, but Flow is way too light. So overall, with Flow's lightweight, rough perimeter, and ineffective gimmick, it's outclassed by literally every single other disc in the metagame. As such, Flow is definitely recommended. It's not recommended for tournaments. So yeah. Alright, moving on to Cross. Cross is an incredibly famous frame for like stamina and life after death, although frames like Glaive are used for defense. But either way, both of them are good for life after death in general. So Cross features a diamond shape with protrusions on each corner, like the Force disc. Let me find my Force. So yeah, you can actually see the resemblance in with Cross and Force. But yeah, Force has bad life after death and is basically just outclassed because it's released in the dual layer era. But yeah, moving on. These protrusions are at an upward angle, while too small to come into contact with the opponent's layer. The relatively round shape of Cross grants the highest life after death out of every single core disc in the metagame at the time of this recording, and the upward angle of the protrusions ensures that they will not scrape against the stadium floor. So overall, while discs like Polish and Yell grant higher life after death, Cross's status as a disc frame allows it to be paired with the much heavier core discs such as 7 and 0, granting many combinations with greater KO resistance and versatility. And with the highest life after death of all the disc frames in the current metagame at the time of recording, Cross is a must-have for competitive leaders. So yeah, moving on to Star. As I said earlier, it's good for attack combination, and yeah, Star, and yeah, the frame is actually pretty good for attack combinations. I'm just going to name a few combinations after I'm done with describing and stuff. So like the frame's name suggests, the star-shaped frame with a protrusion on each corner is too small to come to contact with the opponent's layer, because a lot of layers are pretty tall and distance to layer contact is pretty rare. But yeah, Star is one of the thickest and one of the heaviest disc frames, which grants high attack potential compared to core discs such as 7 and 7 and 4 and discs such as 7, 4, and 2. And furthermore, Star's underside features a perimeter that is smoother than Meteor's. Where's the Meteor? Has more. Well, the underside of Star is it's a lot smoother than Meteor, which grants higher life after death. For some use in attack combinations. At the time of recording. I just need to move my camera. It keeps moving. But yeah, it could be used in the combination like Legends Rising or Siege or Surge Gallius 2 Star Extreme. So that's one. And overall, while Meteor and Bump are heavier, Star nonetheless makes an excellent alternative in attack combinations if Meteor is unavailable. But while Glaive and Cross grant higher amounts of life after death, Star is still comparable with greater weight. As such, Star is not a must-have, but it's a great alternative. So yeah, I'm just gonna do all the frames, then move to discs, drivers, and layers. We have the Vortex frame. Vortex is a wide and overall triangular frame with wave-like details on each of the 3 sides. Vortex is too small to come into contact with the opponent's layer. Vortex's wide shape makes it one of the heavier disc frames in the metagame, which grants high attack potential when paired with core discs such as like 7 and 2. It's actually pretty good for attack combinations like Surge Gallius 5, Vortex Extreme, or Destroy. Overall, while Meteor and Bump are heavier, Vortex nonetheless makes an excellent alternative in attack combinations if Meteor is not available to it later. As such, Vortex is not a must-have as of right now. Actually, not right now, or at all, or since like there's heavier frames. But yeah, it's excellent alternative. So moving on. Now we're moving on to the famous Glaive frame. Glaive is a mostly round disc frame with 2 sharp protrusions on either side. While too small to come into contact with protrusions of Glaive ensures that it doesn't scrape, making good for defense combos with life after death. Moving on to the underframe. Under features a diamond shape with clockwise protrusions on each corner, akin to so the underframe akin to Force or Cross features diamond shaped contact points at a downward angle. This shape is meant to increase burst attack to disc layer contact, but such contact is rare for incredibly tall layers such as Boom Kalzar, Nightmare Lunar, etc., etc. Such disc layer contact is rare. However, due to the most no, I already said that. The directions of the protrusion increases recoil in left spin combinations from the way it's facing to recoil back to the center. Depending on the combination, it decreases the recoil. But the round shape of the frame may imply high life after death, especially in left spin combos. The perimeter, the downward angle of the protrusion increases your perimeter 2 up to 8 in life after death, and defense and stamina combinations like Cross and Glaive. Therefore, however, under is one of the heavier frames in the metagame, which grants high attack potential when paired with discs such as 0 or 7. Overall, Under's ability to add further weight to the core disc makes it a key part in many attack combinations. However, due to being lighter than Meteor or Bump, Under is not a must-have, but it's I guess okay alternative, but it's kind of worse than It's kind of worse than Vortex and Star. So yeah, that's all for the frames. All right, the reboot performance tip. The reboot performance tip is basically a tip with when it's first launched, the centrifugal force forces these tabs outward to force out a semi-flat, and then as it spins, when it loses velocity, this goes in and activates this star-shaped pattern akin to Jaggy. Although the fact that when the reboot activates, it has too low of a velocity to get any good smash attacks, so therefore that renders reboot pretty bad. So moving on. Loop is a defense driver with with 2 wheels to help stabilize the Beyblade when it gets knocked over. In practice, this gimmick actually does work. However, when the loop combo is slowed down, has lower spin velocity, as opposed for the wheels to bring it back upright, bring the combination back upright, it actually strikes the stadium floor, creating a crap ton of stamina loss, and then it just stops spinning. So although with the tabs it makes it kind of good, but the wheels on the side just hinders the performance. All right, now moving on to one of the more so competitive drivers in this set, the Hunter driver. The Hunter driver is a rubber flat tip that actually is basically, it's based off Extreme and the switch strike ability for Hunters that it has a tight spin path. This is actually pretty accurate because with lower diameter than Extreme, Hunter has a tighter spin path and has a I think tighter banking pattern or rush launch. And although it's not as fast as Extreme, making Hunter outclassed by Extreme in that compartment, but stamina wise, Hunter's lower diameter gives it more stamina. Although the fact that this is like a tall-ish attack tip, it's making it able to be destabilized. So yeah. But yeah, if the Extreme driver is unavailable to a blader, then Hunter makes an excellent alternative. Moving on to the Destroy driver. Any blader that's been in the burst game for a while knows that Destroy is a pretty good performance tip overall, and has a star-shaped pattern akin to Jaggy with a little free spinning plate here to stabilize the Beyblade. So when it gets destabilized, the free spinning plate aids in allowing it to recover. And the fact that it's free spinning makes it outclassed by drivers like that, such as Loop. So therefore, Destroy is one of the best attack tips in the metagame as of right now. But although I watched Burnt Pickaxe's stream a couple hours ago, at the time of this being uploaded, and we had agreed that Destroy and Extreme are kind of equal. Extreme, you get faster, the combo's faster and it has heavier attacks, although it lacks stamina. And Destroy, it has slow attacks. It has slow attacks. It has low and light attacks, but it improves on Extreme stamina. So me and Burnt Pickaxe agreed that it's basically equal. So yeah, moving on. Alright, so moving on to the Nothing driver. The Nothing driver is actually slightly free spinning, in case some of y'all didn't know, but the Nothing driver features a cone like stamina tip, and oh shoot, the half from Nothing goes completely in, as opposed to Cartoon's Nothing is just slightly taller. But yeah, this Nothing driver features a spring. The Nothing driver has a spring inside of the driver that doesn't only help it get locked in, but it also helps absorb the impact when it's launched on the stadium floor. Like regularly, it just boom, it does that, and that decreases crucial stamina. But the Nothing driver improves on that and has a spring on it. Although the Nothing driver is pretty cool and all, but the fact it gets destabilized easily and can use the Nothing break like in the anime, but at the cost of self-re-entering itself. Here, and actually here's some fun facts. The Nothing driver can actually do a rush launch or a counter break if launched in a certain way. So moving on to the Zeta driver, there's actually a lot to say about the Zeta driver since it features 3 modes. This is the defense mode. The defense mode features a wide ball tip, which in theory does increase defense, but without but with the lack of the lack of tabs here. Hold on, let me get a defense driver real quick. That's convenient. The defense driver pick up the defense, but yeah, unlike defense, these little tabs help increase KO resistance, knockout resistance, like getting knocked into the pocket. The little tabs creates knockout resistance. Although since the Zeta's defense setting lacks tabs on the defense driver, that makes it susceptible to KOs. Plus, with its short diameter to accommodate or to feature the 3 tip changes, this makes it easy to destabilize, making the defense setting bad. Moving on to the stamina setting. Not the attack setting. The attack setting features a foot-shaped well, in my opinion, features a foot-shaped performance tip where it goes around the stadium, although the fact that it's slightly rounded off at the focus. Okay, yeah. It's slightly rounded off here, making it possible to stay in the center. It'll either stay in the center with poor stamina or go around the tornado ridge with bad stability. And plus, since it's shaped like this, it could jump, although it has bad jumps and it's even worse than Quick, and it's not even off center, which is worse than Quick, which was even inconsistent in the first place. But yeah, before I move on to the stamina setting, those Baytubers who do this to Zeta, those who do this to Zeta, don't do this. It's not a secret mode. This will break your Requiem Zeta driver. But yeah, moving on to the last but not least, the stamina mode. The stamina mode. This stamina mode features a features a flat tip akin to the cell driver, which is good, actually pretty good for attack and stamina. But if you notice, dang, my camera doesn't focus that real. Oh yeah, you see that little protrusion in the center? That's what keeps its stamina. But the stamina setting is virtually an unchanged fusion, and fusion is kind of inconsistent to begin with, because you don't know what it's going to do, and the fact that it's slim, it's easy to be destabilized. So therefore, making all 3 Zeta modes. Alright, moving on to the discs. We have 6. 6 is an attack disc, which is actually pretty light, making it not that good for attack, to be honest. Although it does have these protrusions to facilitate a frame, but the underside is smooth. But these areas right here hinders its ability to add life after death, making it useless for basically anything. So 6 is bad. Moving on to the 2 disc. The 2 disc is moderately heavy and an excellent substitute if 5 or 4 or 0 or 7 isn't available. It's actually pretty heavy. The underside of it is pretty smooth, which aids in life after death, even without a frame, such as Glacier Cross. And these 2 protrusions, basically it's good for attack, defense, or stamina. So it's basically like a jack of all trades here. So it's a good substitute. It actually is still pretty good now, but it doesn't do bad, but it does do pretty good in any type of combination, making it jack of all trades. So in conclusion, 2 is a pretty good disc in today's metagame. So moving on to the famous 7 disc. The 7 disc, the 7 disc features 7 protrusions. Now this side at first glance, this disc may seem unbalanced, but this side is heavier than this side, making it have an overall balanced shape, or not balanced shape, a balanced spin, despite its velocity. So the famous 7 disc is actually good for It's mostly good for stamina, but it can also be used for attack or defense. So it's that's pretty good in any type of combination. The underside of it is kind of hollow, but these protrusions give it out a good outward weight distribution. That's what I failed to mention. With these two protrusions give it high outward weight distribution, basically making it good for stamina and defense or attack. Like I said, 2 is a jack of all trades. 7 is pretty good. Has pretty good outward weight distribution, and good for any type of combo you put it in. So therefore, it's good. It also has some good stabilization, so that's good too. Moving on to the 8 disc. The 8 disc would be used for stamina, although the underside is actually pretty good for life after death. But the fact that it has these holes in the disc, it gives it better outward weight distribution but bad stability, making it susceptible to knockouts. And also with these holes, it actually lowers the burst resistance, making 8 not that good of a choice for stamina. If you use this, you risk lowering the burst resistance. So yeah, 8 is bad. Moving on to the famous 0 disc. Now 0 is basically a pro in any type of combination. It's a pro in attack combination 0, not attack combination, defense combination, stamina combination. Basically good in any type of combination. The underside of 0 is pretty round, making it good for life after death, even without a frame such as Glaver Cross. And the fact that it's good with attack, defense, or stamina, it's mostly used for attack or defense, making it only outclassed by 7 in the stamina department, which is actually pretty surprising since 7 and 0 were both released on Spryzens. 7 is actually better than 0 in terms of stamina, so that's actually kind of surprising. But yeah, 0 is good. 0 is good but lacks defense. 7 is good but lacks a bit of defense, but is better in stamina combination. So that's all the discs. All right, first we have the Genesis Valtryek layer, which features a spring blade gimmick for some smash attacks. It just depends on the mold. Although this layer is actually pretty good. If you intend to use this in a tournament, it needs to be in mint condition with good locking. Takaratomi's version is preferred because it has teeth and the slopes were down on Genesis Valtryek as far as I've seen, but it's still pretty good in like mint condition. Although we'll talk about the gimmick. The gimmick for this is that it features a spring blade attack, which in theory is supposed to feature a double hit, but depending on how heavy the impact is, it does cushion the impact, increasing recoil. But when a Beyblade makes contact with it, in theory, when it pushes the spring layer back, it would only activate after the Beyblade has left contact, rendering the double hit gimmick useless. But it's actually pretty good for smash attacks, and the smash attacks is improved for the Takaratomi version, you put a strike god chip on it, which basically it's a trade-off. In turn, for disabling the god ability / switch strike ability, it increases the overall smash attacks and performance of the Beyblade by little. So Genesis Valtryek's Takaratomi version, this is the Takaratomi version. The Takaratomi counterpart is better, although the Hasbro version is actually pretty good. But Takaratomi's counterpart is better. For the Kinetics of Tomb, just like Genesis Valtryek, the Takaratomi version is better than the Hasbro version, since Hasbro has slopes and not teeth, meaning the slopes would wear down over time. But yeah, this is an overall tanky defense layer with a wheel gimmick to repel attacks, not repel, just like negate the attack like nothing happened. Like, yeah, it just negates the attack as if nothing happened. But okay, enough with the bad puns. But yeah, it's an overall tank defense layer with good locking in Hasbro and Takaratomi, although Takaratomi's locking does not wear down at all because it has teeth. But yeah, this is good. This is good. It's outclassed by like the newer layers like Revive Phoenix, etc. for defense, but it's still pretty good if like the better Chozy layers are unavailable. So yeah, Chatoom's actually pretty good for attack, not attack, defense. Moving on to Calzar. Calzar is actually pretty good. Calzar features a thick layer, to the point where it has a heavy addition, an extremely good amount of smash attacks, and it's also the layer is also pretty tall, which further reduces the risk of disc to layer contact, so this is actually pretty tall, and when this actually delivers some pretty heavy smash attacks, but when it loses locking, these blades extend out, giving it more attack. It gives it a more rounded off shape, but it gives it a better some more attack. So yeah, Calzar is actually pretty good in my opinion. Moving on to Nightmare Luinor. Nightmare Luinor is a layer slash disc. It's a fused energy layer that Hasbro calls it. But yeah, it's a good. I think Hasbro's version is better than Takara's Homie, because the Hasbro version, it has like a little lump to keep it in place, meaning bursts for Nightmare Luinor would be rare because of the lump in the locking, to have the dragon crash, like metal dragon crush or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, Nightmare Luinor is overall heavier than most of the Switch Strike slash God layers, and it actually delivers some massive impact, especially in the moving dragons. When it loses locking, it actually, the better its attacks become and the more frequent it becomes, because it's when it's first launched, it's not as, because there's a lot of space here, but there's not a lot of space here, giving it a more so rounded off shape, but a good smash attack. So Nightmare Luinor is still good, and yeah, still good now. So moving on to Drain Fafnir. Of course I drop it. Drain Fafnir features an overall triangular shape with these little rubber bumpers. The little rubber bumpers allows it to spin equalize from any incoming right spin Beyblade, and how low Fafnir spinning or how fast the right spin opponent is spinning, it could slow motion burst, which is pretty good. So in spin equalization, it's only outclassed by Surprise and Requiem. Gonna have to speed run through this because my phone is running out of storage. So Surprise and Requiem is incredibly versatile with its left and right, it's incredibly versatile with its dual spin capabilities, and with the Metal God chip in the center, it actually gives it some pretty good stability, and it actually has some smash attacks depending in right spin or left spin, and it can spin equalize from a left spin. If it's in right spin, it can spin equalize if a left spin hits it, or if a right spin hits it, it can spin equalize in left or right spin. It just depends. And the overall circular shape of Surprise and Requiem gives it incredible recoil in left spin or right spin. So yeah, that'll do it all for my unboxing, review, and in-depth analysis. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, comment what I should do next, and I'll see you next time, guys. Reduce, recycle, comic out. I just talked for about 20 minutes straight, 20 to 30 minutes straight. Please help me. But wait, there's more. Big 5 tournament layers: Drain Fafnir, Surprise and Requiem, Genesis Valchek, Calzar, Luinor, Chatoom, Kerbeus, Spryzen, Chatoom, Kerbeus. Disc 0, 8, 6, 2, 7, boost, limited wing boost. Drivers: nothing, Zeta, specify which mode, Hunter, reboot, defense, destroy, loop, new variable. Frames: vortex, glaive, star, flow, under, meteor, cross. Yeah, that's all. Comic out for real.